What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Badgers. Again, really excited to do this. Have another commit from the 23 class jumping on, and somebody who I've said this about a couple kids, but one of the underrated gems of this class. I'm so excited to do it. We're going to talk about it, get into his film, do some rapid fire, all that and more in today's Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, as always. Thank you for helping build this community and just giving a little bit of your time, because that's the most important thing any of us have. So I appreciate y'all so much. And speaking of giving time, we're jumping on with Will McDonald. I have you listed at 6'5", 235. Is that pretty accurate, Will?
I've gained about 25 pounds or 20 pounds since then, but yeah, that's close enough.
Good. Is it a good 20 or is it the holiday 20 that I gained?
I'd say a good 20. I'd hope a good.
I love it. So Will McDonald, for those who may not know, PWO commitment in the 23 class out of Hudson, Wisconsin, younger brother of Cade McDonald, who's on the roster, also defensive end. Will, I mean, we got to start there, right? You're coming into Wisconsin as a PWO. I had people, when I said you're going to come on the show, ask me this specific question. I know you've been asked it a lot. You had D1 offers to go to real schools, Kansas, Iowa State. I know there's more, Akron, Army, and you're coming to Wisconsin as a preferred walk-on. Talk me through that decision-making tree.
It definitely wasn't an easy one for sure. But since I've been little, I've always wanted to be a Badger. Like, most people from Wisconsin, like growing up, like you watch the football games and you want to be a Badger. You want to be that guy in that field. So I've definitely grown up being a Badger fan. My recruiting route went a little different because of lacrosse and then football, and so it was different. But like I have really supportive parents for sure, which is a huge part of it. That are supporting me through. They told me, like, wherever you're happiest, you can go. And I was like, I know I'm going to be happy at Wisconsin. And so that was the choice. And I loved a lot of other schools, but like when I got the opportunity to come to Wisconsin, it was just a no-brainer. Like, I knew where I wanted to be for sure.
And your brother's there as well. Like, how did that play into this decision for you?
Well, he tried to stay impartial for sure. Like he supported me through, like, if I went somewhere else, he'd be happy for me. But he was probably the most excited person when I told him that I was going to commit there, because he'd shown me around. Like, he can't speak high enough on Wisconsin. Like, he's so happy he went there. If he had to make the decision again, he'd make it 1,000 times. Like, it's his spot. Like, he loves it so much. So it was nice having him to kind of explain things to me, how it works. And I'd obviously know a lot more about the program, being able to go down there and watch games and hang out with him, see the campus. Like, I've spent so much time on that campus. It's ridiculous. So it was him being a Badger is obviously a huge part in why I wanted to go there, but it was definitely a decision that he was happy for me to make. Absolutely.
And it feels like that's a bonus, but no, your heart was already there. Like, if he had been there or not, that's where you'd wanted to go from the time you were a little kid.
For sure. And that's how he wanted me to make the decision. He told me, he's like, if you come here, I'm going to be super proud. And if you go somewhere else, I'm going to be just as proud. Like, he was really supportive in what I was going to do. And, but this is like where I wanted to be. I told him, I'm not going to make the decision based on where you're going. Like, I want to be here as well. So that's why I made the decision for sure.
Talk to me about the staff turnover, right? Because you kind of committed in the midst of all of this. Obviously, it's a weird season for Wisconsin, a bunch of change. Luke Fickell coming in. What has your communication been like with the new staff? And you're not the only preferred walk-on coming in. There's a group of preferred walk-ons coming in. So it looks like that's something they're going to continue to emphasize.
Yeah, it's been different for sure, because I came in talking. I was recruited, obviously, by Leonard and all that as the D coordinator, and obviously different D-line coach. I don't even think we know our D-line coach quite yet at Wisconsin. But, as soon as we knew it was going to happen, I started communicating with the new staff, and they were really happy to have me. They're like, we still want you, which is great to hear, obviously. And they're really excited to see where the program goes. And obviously, I'm a little disappointed to see some of the guys that I got recruited by and that I've come to know a little bit better in the old staff. But I'm really excited for the future and excited to keep building my relationships with Coach Fickell and the new staff as well. So,
what's it going to feel like so obviously you're going to Wisconsin. What's it going to feel like to put on that jersey, that helmet for the first time, go out into the stadium, be on the sideline?
From what I've heard from my brother, it's like nothing else. Like, it's literally a dream come true to go there. Like, you grow up seeing it on TV and your dad's like, oh, how cool would it be to be in there? And obviously at the time, your dad doesn't think you're going to go there because it's a long shot. Like, but you know, once I'm on that field, like it's going to be a dream come true. Like there's no other way to put it.
Rank this. Who is most excited for you to be going to Wisconsin to team up with your brother? You or your dad?
You know, I obviously I think it's me. He would probably say otherwise because I think I've only seen he probably won't be happy with me saying this, but I've only seen him cry a few times, and the times I've seen him cry was when my brother committed and when I committed. So, you know, if that means anything, for sure. Like obviously I was over the moon to go there. But he was on a different level for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, but it's so cool because I have 2 little boys, right? And I don't know where they're going to end up. Hopefully they end up 6'6" like you and your brother. But, you know, just the ability to go to the stadium and watch both your kids in the same place must be so incredible for him. Outside of the fact that I know he's a Wisconsin fan, but
yeah,
having you both in the same spot, it's just, I couldn't imagine how awesome that is from his standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. And that was, you know, obviously, like I've said, he'd be supportive wherever I went, but being able to, you know, he makes the jokes about that he doesn't have to buy new clothes anymore. Like he can just keep adding on to his Badger collection, and he loves it so much. He can't wait. He's been talking about once I figure out what my number is, he's gonna put our numbers on the back of his car and stuff. Like he's so pumped.
I love it. Would he have been supportive if you had gone to Minnesota?
100%. 100%. He would have been supportive. Obviously, you know, wouldn't have been if I asked him, wouldn't have been his first choice where I went, but I know he would have, you know, supported. He might have even bought some Gopher stuff, which seems ridiculous now because we're both going to Wisconsin and, you know, rivalry and all that. But, you know, he would have been supportive. I'm sure I could have gotten to wear some Minnesota stuff, but I never will now. So
I love it. Talk to me about your lacrosse game. So one of the things that I was talking to John Garcia Jr., we talked before the show, Sports Illustrated recruiting director, he loves your film. And one of the things he went to right away is this kid is so athletic, and I think some of that comes from his lacrosse background. Talk to me about lacrosse. How did that help you translate onto the football field as a defensive lineman?
I know, like, as a sport, it doesn't seem very similar, but when you're talking, like, D-line hand speed, you know, hand-eye coordination and all that, they're extremely, like, they work really well with each other. So, like, as I get better with my hand speed in lacrosse, using both hands, becoming ambidextrous, and you know, obviously having a good smooth hands and all that, like that all translates to defensive line and all that, because you have to have fast hands, be able to move, read off your defender. And then the biggest thing is like athleticism. Like my brother always makes jokes that when I'm coming, I'm probably going to be, you know, pretty good in the conditioning department because I'm coming right off of lacrosse season.
Mm-hmm.
So much conditioning, so much speed work, because that's a huge part of the game in lacrosse. So like they definitely translate better than most people would think, and I think that's definitely a big part of my game is the athleticism while being so large, because I've been big in my entire life and I've been able to play this sport that's not normally for guys my size. So,
what about position wise? What fits you best in your opinion? Are you more of a stand-up pass rusher, or do you project yourself as being more of a 3-down defensive lineman? How would you best scout out your own game?
I don't know. I definitely like pass rushing. I don't know who doesn't like pass rushing, I guess, as a defensive lineman. I think I'm a pretty good pass rusher. I think one of the things I'd like to work on a lot more is my run game. So if I had to say something I'm better at, I'd say pass rushing. But I think I can definitely be a guy who can do both, which is pretty important for the scheme and all that. But I think pass rushing is definitely my best part.
Let's do, and we've done this with every commit that's been on the show. We're gonna play some EA Sports and make you put some rankings on yourself. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So pass rush.
Oh God. What kind of scale is this on? Like high school? Are we talking high school, like compared to high school?
We're talking, relative for, let's say you're in, so EA Sports is making this game, right? You're going to be in it, by the way. And I tell everyone that's on the show, I think that's so friggin' cool.
So cool.
When your first rankings come out, maybe after a couple years in college, where do you see your ranking? You can kind of go wherever you want with this, but not in high school, kind of thinking to the college level.
I would hope like 90 or something. It being the best facet of my game, like I would hope 90s. Obviously that's the dream is to be in the 90s in the NCAA game, but
I like the humility you have, by the way, because some dudes, and I love them all, right? Everybody that's been on the show has been awesome, but someone be like 99, 99, 99, which I love. All right, let's go speed. Again, relative to defensive end.
I'm definitely going to gain some weight I'd hope, like if I could be in the 80s as a D lineman, like that'd be huge. Like if I can run, you know, far below a 5 flat 40 and all that, like I feel like I'd be in the 80s and that'd be pretty good. Like especially for a lineman that's playing in the scheme like a 3.5 or a 3.4. So 80 speed would be big, I would think.
Out of curiosity, what are you running right now? Do you know?
Last time I ran a 40 is a 4.82.
Awesome, man. That's great for your size. Like, and you're long limbed, man. That's gonna work great on the edge.
Yeah.
What about tackling?
Tackling. Oof. I would hope 80s too. Like I would say if Fuse in college, I'll get a lot better at tackling. And I think I'm a pretty good tackler already. I like to secure my tackles. I'm not a guy that's going to go for a massive hit in the backfield. Like I'm securing my tackles. I'm a pretty good form tackler. So I'd say mid 80s.
We're going to see some of that on film coming up, as well as a giant hit in the backfield. We're going to see some of that coming up on film with Will. Last question here, just in terms of kind of your game and what you bring to the field, is more of a locker room thing. How would you describe your leadership style? How have you grown as a leader?
Yeah, that's a good one. I was a captain this year, and our coaches are huge on lead by example. Be the guy that's not the person telling the freshmen to go pick up the water and pick up all the field. Like be that guy that as a senior you're going to pick up the field. You're going to go do all the dirty work and show the underclassmen how to do it. So I think a lead by example is a huge thing for me. I'm not a huge like talker or yeller in practice. Like I'll definitely talk and coach up, but I don't like to scream at like underclassmen for making mistakes. I'm definitely a lead by example guy. Show them how to do it. Because mistakes are, in the grand scheme of things, mistakes are great. Like you're learning from mistakes. So I don't want to be the type of, leader that's yelling at their guys for mistakes and screaming in their faces. I want to be the guy that's like helping them and coaching them up in a, not like a completely positive way, but not in a negative way.
I love that. There's an element of servant leadership there, which I think is really cool, where you're not above them. You're at the same, level as them, and you're even putting in more. I think they gain a lot from that. I think it's a really cool thing.
We preached it this year. We had like leadership meetings in our program in high school, and that servant leadership was one of the things we preached for captains. It was just like, this is something you have to do, and it works out for you. And we had one of the best seasons we've had in a while for high school. So I think it definitely worked for us.
I love it. All right, coming up, we're going to put some film up with Will, watch him kind of tear through some opposing offensive lines, talk about what they're doing with him defensively. We're going to do that next on Locked On Badgers. But first, we do have to take a quick break for our friends of the show. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Built Bar. I've talked about Built Bar a lot. Listen, we're all trying to look a little bit more like Will McDonald after the holiday season, right? And Built Bar is one of my go-tos to do that. Tons of protein, low sugar, great flavors. They got a churro, they got a cinnamon. And again, I tell you all the time, I hide them in my kind of drawer, right? And it's kind of my cache. My kids get into it, they eat it, and they think they're sneaking candy because these things taste kind of like candy bars. But I know it's a healthy snack. It's kind of a hidden dad win that I get in my daily activities with my two boys. Go to Walmart. They've gone mainstream. You used to have to go to the website to get Built Bars. Now you can get all the unbelievable flavors: peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, all at Sam's Club, Walmart. You can get 13 count boxes. You're gonna thank me later. And again, it's over 130 calories, but it's only 4 grams of sugar, a whopping 17 plus grams of protein. You're going to thank me later. It's a healthy snack to get you through the day. And again, go to Walmart, Sam's Club. It's going to be there. After you're done here, go check out Locked On College Basketball. It's a new show we have highlighting everything going on with the college basketball world, everything you need to know in one place. Plus, hear from big-name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we're going to bring Will back on the show and keep this conversation going. Again, very, very appreciative, Will, of you taking some time out of your day to talk to us. Where can people find, if they want to follow along, if you have social media, where can people find out what you're doing and what you got going on?
Sure. I think my Instagram is Will McDonald 05 or Will McDonald 05. And then my Twitter is Will McDonald 6. So I don't post a ton, but I post when I can. And that's definitely where they can follow me.
Awesome. And we'll link that into the show notes when we release this. So we're going to get some film on, but I wanted one more question to ask you kind of quickly. And this is, again, something we've asked a lot of people on the show. If you were coaching against yourself, if you were maybe an offensive line coach getting ready to go against Will McDonald, how would you attack Will McDonald?
Oof. That's a good question. I would say, like, especially in high school, like I moved around a ton. and I moved around both sides because my coach wanted to run me both sides. So I was kind of everywhere on the D line. Like you kind of just got to throw a variety of plays and trick plays, and sometimes those confuse me because I'm a pretty technical guy where I'm looking at my reads and I'm like, if my read is one thing, like I'm going, that was my read, and that's what I practiced all week. So if you can throw those things off with tricky stuff and messing with me a little bit, I think that would definitely be a good strategy. Like there's definitely a few times where I got beat on screen passes this year, for example. Like because I would see one guy and I'd beat my guy. And I'm like, oh, open quarterback. He's just standing in the backfield. Oh, screen pass and it's gone. Like definitely something that messed with me a little bit. So something I got to work.
That's great self-evaluation. I love it. All right, let's pop some film up here. Definitely want to, and just as we roll the film, Will, anything you want to see, anything you want to talk to, we'll pause it a couple times. Feel free to jump in, and let me share this for you so you can see it. If you're listening on the podcast right now, I do apologize. Sometimes we get film up here. I know you can't see that, but we'll talk through as much as we can. If you're watching on YouTube, you're obviously going to see it. This is Will McDonald senior film, and let's get it going here. Oh, jeez. So let's bring that back just a tick. This is something you said. You do line up kind of all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just a burst quarterback over.
Yeah. No, I love lining up on the edge like that. It's so fun just being a little bit spread out in the pass rush where, that was like a situation where I knew it was going to be a pass. So I could just go. Like it was pass rush only, and I made a move and got to the quarterback and just kind of tossed him. So
what I think there's another clip here where you kind of just toss a guy, right?
Yeah.
And my phone's freezing up a little bit. And I asked you off the side of the show, but I want to ask you on this. What does it feel like to throw? You basically threw him out of the field to play. Like he almost landed out of bounds. What does that feel like as an athlete?
It feels so good, like especially like home game, and you do something kind of cool, like manhandle that guy and toss him into the kind of the sidelines right in front of your teammates that are all hyping you up. Like it's such a fun feeling. Like definitely a feeling of camaraderie because all the boys are around you. Like you can see my coach is about to come up, slap me on the helmet. It's like, yeah, yell in my face. So it's such a good feeling just to do that in front of a home crowd and in front of your boys. So.
And again, it's a lot of that athleticism that you talked about coming off the edge again here. Talk to me about, let's come back to this one a little bit. Talk to me through this play here.
Yeah, this was one, I think that's Superior, which is a team pretty far away from us that we played in our conference. And like we kind of knew at this point that they were desperate because we were beating them pretty bad. And so that we knew they were going to start chucking up balls. And our blitz had worked so well. Like our kind of pressure at them had worked so well that we were kind of just like, keep doing it to create one-on-one matchups with me and my other defensive end. So then it was just kind of like these guys weren't that big. So I was just like, try to bull them and see where I could go from there. So I just got my angle, bulled them, and the quarterback just had nowhere to go. Big credit to my other guys on the D line here because you see it has absolutely zero place to go. Like that's kind of what we do is our ends go in and we collapse the pocket, and the nose tackle and D tackles are always just there like to pick up that. And yeah, so that's like definitely a big team sack for us there because you can see how many guys are near the ball, which is
that one of the things I like about this clip too is there's a lot of clips where you're just flashing your athleticism, you're around the edge, or you're shooting a gap. But here, like you said, you just overpowered him. That was pretty much kind of a bull rush. You had an angle, but you really got under him and just pushed him back into the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to the next one here. And hopefully my film is kind of pausing up, but here we go. We'll just let a couple roll. There's a nice swim move. Talk to me really quick about, as a pass rusher, what moves do you have? Do you have a go-to move? Do you have a counter to that? Are those things you're still working on to develop?
It definitely depends. Like I definitely have go-to moves. Like it depends on what I can do. Like if I have the freedom, we kind of played like a gap thing in ours. Like there's a lot of plays in this where I'm the contain guy and I can't lose my contain. So I know I have to go outside like C gap usually. So if I'm doing an outside C gap, it's usually I like to do a power move, get right in his face and then work off it. So I have a little bit more space. Whereas like if I knew I have a two-way pass rush, I'm almost always countering. Like I love to go back inside, like that one.
Let's definitely come back to this one.
where I can kind of feel them oversetting because they know I'm coming off the ball pretty hard, especially in a pass situation. So I'm like jumping upfield, and then they're kind of oversetting, and then I can kind of counter off that. This is a move I worked on in the offseason a little bit with my brother. The like kind of power counter, like I don't know what you even call that. Where I kind of get him to overset, and then I use my one hand to cross it, like go across him and like kind of just push him out of my way. And I did that a few times, I think, on my tape. Whereas just like when I was working on just get to the quarterback, because the counter when they're oversetting is so good. I love doing that so much.
And you tossed them, and then you went through the fullback, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
Right. But to your point, that your fellow defensive end caught him on the backside as well. So,
Exactly.
you know, get a nice team sack there.
My success is definitely a big part in my defensive ends and my guys that were there. So, which is a huge thing. Like if I'm the only defensive guy that can get to the ball, like he's just gonna run away from me. So having a great team like those guys, it's huge for me.
Is there anyone? I mean, maybe your brother is the answer to this, but if it is someone else, maybe is there a pass rusher, a linebacker, defensive end, somebody that you look up to, maybe outside of your brother?
Oh, for sure. Like I watch a ton of. I guess, obviously the Watt brothers, like J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt. I'm watching them all the time. Another one I kind of watch is Aiden Hutchinson. I watched him in college, obviously, and now in the NFL. And I watch a lot of his stuff because he's just so powerful and athletic as well, being so big. But the Watt brothers are huge, like TJ's pass rush and JJ's like overall run game, pass game, like everything. Just those are some of the greatest to ever do it. And it's obviously super cool that two of those came from Wisconsin, one of them being a walk-on as well. So
yep. Also brothers, like there's all sorts of connections here, Will.
Yeah.
Coming up, we got one more tiny break, then we're going to do rapid fire, finish off with Will, and really do appreciate the time again. Quick break for our friends of the show. Will, thank you so much for coming back on, man. I can't say it again how much I appreciate you giving the time. It's incredibly valuable, and I think people always come out of these really grateful to hear from the recruits and the players coming into Wisconsin. People really enjoy it, and I know they're going to like this one too. Yeah, of course, man. You ready for a rapid fire?
I am, yeah.
All right. At the same age, coming out of high school, better athlete, you or your brother?
I'm going to say me. I honestly think my brother might agree with me because he was a little bit, I wouldn't say smaller, but like he was a little bit less developed at my age, I think. And I play a lot of lacrosse and obviously could have play college there too. So I think I might take that one, but he might say different. He might agree with me too. I don't know.
We'll see. Team you're most looking forward to playing?
Minnesota, obviously. Yeah, Axe game. Axe game's huge.
Teammate or future teammate, I should say, that you're really excited to share the field with and get to know more?
I'd say probably I don't know, like on the team or like a recruit in my grade.
Either one, and you can name multiple if you want to.
I don't know, probably Ben Barton, the D lineman, one of my brother's friends. I've gotten to know him a little bit better, and he's a hilarious guy, and I love hanging out with him. So yeah.
If you had to pick a supervillain as a bodyguard, who would it be?
Supervillain as a bodyguard, probably the Joker.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's just one step ahead at all times, and like I feel like he'd be a good guy to just have around. Like you wouldn't know he's there, but he's always there.
That's a great one. That might be one of the better ones. Yeah, that's a great one. Best place to eat in Hudson, Wisconsin?
Oof. Probably Mallory's. Either Mallory's. It's kind of like a steak, nicer place, steak and all sorts of food. But Jonesy's also, the local, is a big wing spot, and I love their wings. Their wings are so good. So those are who my family goes to most.
I love wings too. It's hard to find a good wing spot.
Yeah.
Worst game. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Worst game you can remember playing?
That one's so easy, actually. My sophomore year, we played Muskego, and it was Hunter Wohler was on the team. And I remember going into that game. We weren't supposed to play a game that week, and my coach scheduled it, and we played 2.5 hours away. And like, obviously this was something to learn from. Like everyone knew we were gonna lose that game because this was when they were on the like 38-0 streak or something, like 34 wins in a row or something stupid like that, like ridiculous. And we went to play them on this streak, and we're like, oh, we're just gonna get killed. All the seniors were like telling us we're gonna get killed, and we get into the game, and I'm 100, probably sophomore year, I was like 195 pounds. Like I was really light for a D lineman. I was playing D tackle against like this team that had never been beaten in so long, and I just got killed. I got murdered.
That's awesome.
But like, yeah, like, looking back on it, it's funny now, but I remember being so upset over that game just because I was like, how do I have a future in football if I'm going to be getting killed by these kids right here? But
that's awesome. That's funny. And maybe this comes from this game or not, but what is the most painful injury that you've had?
I've had two. So my sophomore year, my second game I played, I partially tore my MCL during the game. And I ended up, it wasn't super bad when I did it, but like the day after, like it was horrible and it really hurt bad. And then junior year, I sprained my AC joint in my shoulder. And that one was pretty painful at the time just because you couldn't do anything about it. And it was like, I didn't know what was happening. So like, it was just pretty painful.
I mean, you're also a defensive lineman. You kind of need your shoulder. That's a tough one.
Yeah. And I remember the trainers like couldn't give me ibuprofen. So like, it wasn't like I could like, I ended up playing through it decently, I think, but it hurt really bad.
All right. Hidden talent. Something outside of football that you're really good at or that you like doing.
Hidden talent. I don't know. Recently, I've been going on a chess stunt. Like I've been playing a lot of chess for some reason.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's something I've been doing a lot. I'm not really good at it though, but I could say it's something I enjoy doing that people wouldn't like look at a football player and be like, yeah, he plays chess sometimes. I don't know.
Oh, I love that one. All right, we got two more. You ready?
Yep.
Best comfort food. Like when you need to get cheered up, like what do you go to?
French onion soup.
That's an interesting one.
Especially in like a cold day, like it's so good. And I don't get it very often, but I think that's it. Or mac and cheese.
Yeah, mac and cheese is a common answer for this. French onion soup is a new one. I like it.
Yeah.
And then anything that you want to say to Wisconsin fans that'll listen to the show, anything you want to say about your game, anything else about Will McDonald?
Nah, I'm excited to get down. I'm excited to get to work and, represent this school, and I'm just pumped. Super excited.
I love it. He is Will McDonald. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going to link all of his socials in the show if he wants to. So we'll get that out there if you want to follow along. I want to, again, say thank you to everybody for tuning in, and specifically thank you to Will for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast. It was super fun.
Let's go on Wisconsin, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.